You poor brothers don't belong in a fancy place like a wedding. My brother didn't finish high school and works as a delivery driver at 47. Daniel, the rich son of a company president, found this amusing. However, my brother dropped out of school to support my college education. I can't forgive anyone who tramples on his sacrifice. Your company will disappear too, Daniel. I told Daniel, who mocked my brother. He thought a poor guy like me couldn't do anything. He didn't know better. I couldn't stand up to him in the past, but now I have the power to do so. No one has ever stopped him before, but now he will pay for his wrongdoings. I am James Miller, 43. I am the president of Miller Holdings, a retail company I founded about 10 years ago. My company thrived by adapting to market needs, and we have grown significantly. Now, including our affiliates, we have an annual revenue of $100 million. I owe my ability to run such a large company to my brother. Actually, I lost my parents when I was in the 8th grade. I hadn't finished compulsory education yet and had no means to live alone. I had no relatives to rely on and felt utterly hopeless. My older brother, Chris Miller, who is 4 years older than me, said, "I'll work to cover living expenses, so no worries, James." Those words were a beacon of hope for me. However, even as a middle schooler, I understood it meant sacrificing my brother's future. "But what about you, brother?" "I'll drop out of high school, but don't worry about me." "You must finish high school and college. Without a degree, it's hard to get a decent job these days." Okay. I worried about my brother dropping out of high school. But as a middle school student who couldn't work, I had no other choice but to rely on him. I felt guilty, but I nodded. News about my parents' death and my brother dropping out to support the family quickly spread among my classmates. Most of our classmates were worried about us, but there were some who looked down on us. "Those poor brothers. I heard your brother finally dropped out." It was my classmate, Daniel Anderson. His father was the president of Anderson Tech, a company with annual sales of $50 million. From his appearance, it was clear he led a wealthy life. To him, we were perfect targets for harassment and bragging. So what? Well, it's just sad, isn't it? Losing your parents and having your high school brother go to work, it's tear-jerking. I was furious that he mocked my brother's painful decision. I wanted to argue back, but we had no power then. Moreover, causing unnecessary trouble could disrupt the education my brother was supporting. So, no matter what he said, I couldn't argue back to Daniel. Daniel often mocked others, but I secretly knew about his misdeeds. One night, after studying late at the library, in the principal's office of the almost empty school building, as I walked down the hallway, I saw Daniel and the principal talking through a gap in the window. Daniel was handing over an envelope filled with roll of bills to the principal. He was undoubtedly trying to buy better grades and recommendations. That guy. However, the principal refused, shaking his head. Seeing that, I was relieved to know he had integrity. But that scene has stayed with me for almost 30 years. That wasn't Daniel's only wrongdoing. One day, while walking around town on a day off, I saw Daniel again. He was chatting amiably with a female student. "Don't you want anything else?" "Well, next time." I knew she had a boyfriend. Daniel was carrying a large shopping bag. He was probably using his money to go on a date with her, despite her having a boyfriend. Is having money a free pass to do anything? I wondered every time I saw his wrongdoings, but I couldn't point them out because I had no power. Why does being wealthy allow him to get away with such things? Despite my doubts, I had to ignore his misdeeds to survive. With my brother's help, I managed to finish middle and high school and even graduated college with a scholarship. Thanks to you, brother. I really appreciate it. I'm just glad I could see you graduate. I'm sorry you had to use a scholarship, though. It's fine. Now I can work and pay it back. If you ever need anything, Don't hesitate to rely on me. That's reassuring, thank you, James. Thanks to my college degree, job hunting wasn't difficult. Because I studied hard, I had several options and joined a company with good salary and benefits. After working as a full-time employee for about 10 years, I started my own business, which has already become successful. Now, I live a comfortable life without any hardships. Considering I lost my parents, I've led a remarkably smooth life. On the other hand, my brother's final education level remains middle school. So, even if he quits his job, there's no guarantee he'd find another one. And now at 47, he's still working as a delivery driver. While I succeeded in starting my own business, I felt guilty that my brother was still working as a delivery driver. I once suggested to him, "Brother, why don't you come work at my company? The benefits would be better, and you wouldn't have to exhaust yourself from morning till night." "No, it's fine." "Why not?" "I know your company isn't a place for someone without a degree like me." Every time I invited him, he always declined. It's true that my company generally hires college graduates. But if my brother wanted to join, I could make an exception. Some employees might be unhappy, but my brother deserves that consideration. It's no exaggeration to say that our company exists because of you, so please, don't hesitate. I'm happy just seeing you succeed. Just treat me the same as always, without any special favors. I think he feels he can't measure up with just a middle school education. But rather than worry about that, I wished he would join my company. However, forcing him to join might make it difficult for him to fit in. Since workplace is where you go to every day, it's best to choose a place you like. So, I told him to let me know if he ever changed his mind and left the decision up to him. Because I run my own company, I had the good fortune to meet someone and get married. I lived with my wife and son. Even though I moved out when I got married, I explained the situation to my wife and built a house near my parents' home. My brother is single but told me not to worry about him. However, I couldn't ignore my brother just because I was happy. I wanted to repay him for the life I have now. One day, my brother and I were invited to a classmate's wedding. The classmate's name is Steve Davis. At 43, he finally found a good match. It might be late to think about kids, but it's never too late to find a life partner. At home, I talked to my brother about the wedding. "You're invited too. What do you think? Is it okay for me to go too?" My brother looked surprised, not expecting to be invited. "You used to hang out with Steve too, don't you remember?" "I remember, but..." "That's why Steve probably wants you to come too." "I hope so. He might feel inferior because he only finished middle school and is still working as a delivery driver." My brother often made self-deprecating remarks like that. But to me, he's always been a brother I'm proud of. "You're well liked by many people. That's why you were invited. You should be more confident." "Really?" "Yeah, let's go, brother. It's been a while, and we have a lot to catch up on." "All right, maybe I'll go then." We replied that we would attend and started preparing for the day. Eventually, the wedding day arrived. My brother and I arrived at the venue, both wearing dark suits. I wondered who else had been invited, and there were many familiar faces. "It looks like our middle and high school classmates are here." "Really?" "Yeah, it'd be nice to catch up later." While talking, my brother and I checked in and started looking for the main man of the day. Finally, we spotted the groom, Steve. "Steve." "Oh, James and Chris, thanks for coming." Steve noticed us and approached with a big smile. "We're happy to be invited. So, you're finally getting married?" "Yes, she's very beautiful and kind. I saw her picture. She really is beautiful." He smiled wryly and said, "Being with a beauty has its challenges, but she's amazing. I'm so lucky to have her. She's talking to some friends now, but I'd love for you to meet her later." "Yeah, I'd love to talk to her later." "Of course." After chatting briefly, Steve left to greet other guests. Watching him go, I spoke to my brother. Steve looked happy. Was her name Maria? I haven't met her yet, but she must be great. Yeah, it's wonderful he found someone so amazing. We walked around the decorated venue, admiring the garlands and flowers. I greeted classmates whenever I saw them, and my brother joined the conversations, enjoying himself. While we were talking to classmates, someone suddenly called out to us, "Hey, are you the Miller brothers?" Hearing that voice, I had a bad feeling. I hadn't seen him in over 20 years, but some voices you never forget. Turning around, I saw Daniel standing there. He walked over to me with a smirk. "Long time no see. I thought you might be homeless somewhere. At least you had enough money to buy a suit." "Daniel, did you give a proper wedding gift? It better not be something cheap like $10. You'll get cut off if you're that stingy." I was immediately annoyed. "It seems you're doing well." "Of course, I took over my dad's company, so now I'm the president. Quite different from a poor guy like you." Then my brother whispered to me, "Who's he?" "My classmate." I had never told my brother about Daniel. I didn't want to burden my hard-working brother with the fact that I was being mocked. Daniel then approached my brother with a smug grin. "So, you're James's brother. You dropped out of school to work hard and support him. How sad." Even my kind brother frowned at his overly mocking words. "You work as a delivery driver, right? It's pathetic that you can only get a low-end job because you didn't finish school. We shop online a lot because we hate going to stores. So we're always relying on people like you. Is that all you have to say?" My brother decided it was best not to engage with someone so rude. However, Daniel found my brother's discomfort amusing. "Don't say that. I'm thrilled to see you." Daniel grabbed a beer from the table. Then, he suddenly poured it all over my brother. My brother couldn't avoid it. He ended up drenched in beer from head to toe. "Brother, you poor brothers needed a wash anyway. You don't belong in a fancy place like a wedding." Beer dripped from my brother's hair and suit. The people around us gasped. Daniel was pleased to see my brother soaked. "With those clothes, you can't stay at the wedding. Go home." "Daniel." Anger surged from the pit of my stomach. I started to stride toward him, but my brother stopped me. "It's okay, James. He's not wrong. He must have thought he wasn't fit to be here because he only finished middle school." But I couldn't forgive what Daniel did to my brother. My brother gave up his future to raise me after our parents died. Thanks to him, I graduated from college and now live a comfortable life. I couldn't let him be treated this way. I didn't plan to bring this up at the wedding. But if Daniel was going to pour beer on my brother, I had no choice. "Your company will be wiped out too, Daniel." "What? Who do you think you are? What can a poor delivery guy like you do? I'm a president." Daniel sneered at my words. "Are you planning to drive a truck into my company? That's the only way a delivery guy like you could do any cleaning." "It's a bit extreme, though. I'm not going to do anything drastic. There are other ways." "So, what are you going to do? Bluff all you want, but you'll only embarrass yourself when you can't do anything. Try if you can." Indeed, it's not easy to bring down a company. Daniel might have a point, and my brother looked worried. "James, it's okay, brother. But there's no need to worry. I have the means to handle this." However, first things first. I couldn't leave my brother soaked in beer. "Excuse me, does anyone have a towel?" Someone nearby found a towel and handed it to me. My brother stepped aside to the waiting room to dry off and change clothes. After asking my brother for one more thing, I turned back to face Daniel. Daniel waited patiently for me until my brother left. When I glared at him, Daniel sneered. "So, you've been boasting quite a bit. How exactly do you plan to wipe out my company? You must have a plan if you're talking this big." He thought a poor man like me couldn't do anything. But he should have run while he had the chance. I had intended to follow proper procedures, but if Daniel was pushing it, He'd have to face the consequences in front of everyone. It seems there are some suspicious activities in your company, so I had it investigated. What? Falsified receipts to inflate expenses, kickbacks on outsourced contracts. You might be evading taxes, aren't you? Daniel clearly panicked at my accusations. He had likely never been confronted before. What are you talking about, tax evasion? I investigated the companies you do business with. I heard some suspicious rumors about Anderson Tech during those transactions. Investigating just because of some rumors? Indeed, it takes someone pretty determined to investigate based on mere rumors. But I had a reason to believe there was wrongdoing in this case. I know you've always used money to get what you want, so I had to check. Use money to get what I want? What do you mean? You tried to bribe the principal, and you went after girls with boyfriends by throwing money around. Daniel turned pale, not expecting his past to be revealed. He probably never thought something from nearly 30 years ago would come back to haunt him. What? That was so long ago. Yes, it was. But do you think time erases all wrongdoings? I glared at Daniel. I haven't forgotten your misdeeds, even after almost 30 years. We've lived honest lives and faced hardships, yet you get away with everything because you have money. I'm sure I'm not the only one who finds this society unfair. Those with money use it to cover their wrongdoings and make more money. Meanwhile, the poor, no matter how honest, remain unrewarded. I couldn't understand why such a system prevailed. In the past, I could only watch Daniel's arrogance. But now, I can prove his actions are wrong. And I have the power to do it. I wouldn't miss this perfect opportunity to make Daniel pay. Daniel, looking puzzled, said to me, "How can you investigate my company? You're just a delivery guy." Who said I was a delivery guy? What? Well, you two are the poor brothers, right? So you're either a delivery guy or some other low-end job. I never claimed to be a delivery guy. Daniel just assumed that because my brother is one and he thinks we're poor. I'm the president of Miller Holdings. What? Miller Holdings stores often appear in TV commercials. Even Daniel must have heard of it at least once. That can't be. Miller Holdings is a major company with $100 million in annual sales. That's right. Glad you know. Impossible. There's no way you're a president. Starting a business isn't easy. Even Daniel understood that. Yeah, starting a business was tough. But I succeeded, all thanks to my brother, who you look down on for working hard to put me through college. If my brother hadn't chosen to support me, I might have ended up in a low-paying job. Starting a business wouldn't have even been an option. Thanks to my brother, I got a job as a full-time employee. I learned a lot there, which led me to start my own business. I graduated from college and worked as a full-time employee for a while. The stable salary allowed me to support my brother, who continued working as a delivery driver as a way to repay him. But even as a full-time employee, the money I could share was limited. I couldn't truly repay my brother. That's when I decided to start my own business. After careful preparation, I established a small company dealing in daily goods. Over time, it grew into the large company known as Miller Holdings. Now, including affiliated companies, it has grown into a major company with annual sales of $100 million. I earned more than enough to support my brother. When did you become the president of such a big company? That's right. Anderson Tech still has annual sales of $50 million. Right? That's a pretty small company. Don't get cocky. He inherited the company as president, but its annual sales haven't changed much. He likely rested on his laurels and didn't implement any strategies for growth. Miller Holdings' annual sales are twice that of Anderson Tech. There's a significant gap now. Daniel used to look down on us because of his wealth and threw money around. But now, I have more financial power. It's clear he can no longer look down on us. So there seem to be many suspicious financial activities, Can you explain what's happening internally? That, I asked, but Daniel couldn't answer. Surely, he's been doing things he can't reveal. I sneered at Daniel, who remained silent. Can't you explain yourself as the president? This is your chance to prove your innocence. Even if you say that, I don't know. The employees must have done it on their own. Excuses are pathetic. You're an irresponsible president. Oh. Daniel couldn't respond. He never expected his wrongdoings to be exposed at a wedding and was clearly flustered. I pressed him further. I didn't plan to bring this up here, but if you're picking a fight, I have no choice. Damn it. Tax evasion is a serious crime. What do you think will happen if I report this to the police? Daniel realized that being reported to the police would be disastrous. Desperately, he said, Then keep quiet about this. How much do you want? It seems he's admitting to the tax evasion. Maybe he realized he couldn't escape it, but his thinking is naive. You always try to solve everything with money. Then what's the point of money? What's wrong with using it to protect myself? But using money to excuse what's wrong is a mistake. At least, trying to cover up your crimes with money is wrong. Using money to hide your misdeeds is unacceptable. Hey, playing the hero, are we? Everything in this world can be handled with money. You started a business because you wanted money too, right? Daniel laughed loudly. So, how much do you want? Tell me. I'll make it happen. It's not about the money. Do you know why I went through all the trouble to investigate your crimes? Why? Because I couldn't stand your attitude of using money to get your way. He still didn't get it, so I told him. Do you have any idea how it felt to be looked down on by you just because we were poor? My brother didn't hesitate to become a stepping stone for me, working hard so I could succeed. You mocked him just because he was poor, without understanding the tremendous sacrifice he made, dropping out of high school to work. In today's education-focused society, my brother must have understood how difficult a choice that was even back then. Dropping out meant his highest education would be middle school, closing off his future. Knowing this, he decided to raise me in place of our parents. Who could mock such a resolution? I wanted to argue back, but I had no power then. Now, I have the power to do so. Then I'll apologize for that. Is that enough? It's too late. No matter what you say, I won't forgive you. If he had changed back when we were still students, things might have been different. We could have had a good business relationship. But it's far too late now. Even after nearly 30 years since middle school, he hasn't reflected on his actions. His unchanged attitude has led to crimes like tax evasion. At that moment, Steve, having heard the commotion, approached. Hey, Daniel, what's going on here? Steve. Daniel looked startled at being caught. Next to Steve was Maria Davis, the bride. They must have heard the commotion and come over. Steve's once joyful expression was now filled with anger. What did you do to Chris? Apparently, Steve had already heard that Daniel had poured beer on my brother. What? I just wanted to wash off the poor delivery guy. I'm not in the wrong. Daniel said arrogantly without a hint of remorse. When I was a kid, Chris took care of me and played with me. He has every right to be here. How dare you try to throw him out? You don't need to associate with someone like that. He's just a delivery guy with no social status. It would be better for your future to be nice to me. What? Maria looked at Daniel's face and gasped. You? What? Do you know him? Maria wasn't our classmate. I had never seen her at school, so she must have gone to a different school. I didn't think she knew Daniel, but it seemed they were acquainted. Maria spoke to Daniel with a wary tone. A few months ago, you approached me, asking to hang out. I refused because I'm with Steve, but you insisted that it wouldn't be a problem. What? Steve was shocked to learn that Maria and Daniel knew each other. He kept pestering me, trying to get me into his car, inviting me to restaurants even after I repeatedly refused. I'm sorry I didn't tell you before, but I didn't want to cause trouble. Daniel turned pale, his worst behavior exposed at a wedding. He had a bad habit of targeting women who were already in relationships. He used money to cover his tracks, but he never expected his actions to come back to haunt him here. Steve's expression darkened with anger. Daniel, I invited you because we were classmates, but if you try to go after Maria, that's a different story. No, it's a misunderstanding. You haven't changed a bit, always going after women with boyfriends. James, his bad behavior with women hasn't changed since the old days. And today, it's coming back to haunt him. Daniel hurriedly tried to make excuses. I didn't know she was your fiancée. It's true. Do you think I can believe that now? It was foolish of me to invite you. Get out. Steve, not wanting Daniel to go near Maria anymore, shouted at him. Then Daniel, now defiant, said, Damn it, what is this? I'll destroy all of you with my power. I know where all of you work. I'll contact your clients and ruin your reputation. You'll be out on the streets and finished. Your company will collapse before that happens. Because my brother had already made the call. Footsteps approached. A man dressed in a uniform, unsuited for a wedding, appeared. It was a police officer. My brother, who had been drying off from the beer incident, had called the police. The officer probably spoke to my brother first to understand the situation before coming to find Daniel. Which one of you is Daniel? All eyes turned to Daniel. It was obvious who he was. Hey, what do you want? I've been informed that you poured beer on someone. Depending on the circumstances, this could be considered assault. May I ask you some questions? Daniel protested. What? I didn't hurt anyone. Pouring beer or water on someone can be considered a crime. Don't underestimate it. What? He never thought he could be charged for pouring beer. Being told this by a police officer, not just the people around him, made Daniel widen his eyes in shock. That's how it is. Please come with me. Wait, I'm the president of tech. If you let this go, I'll give you as much money as you want. How about it? Bribery doesn't work on officers. Damn it, let go of me. Reporting something like this, you coward. Daniel screamed as he was taken away by the police. Watching him leave, still defiant, I exchanged glances with Steve. Daniel would face assault charges for pouring beer on my brother. But that was just the beginning. My accusations revealed a series of his crimes. Falsifying receipts to inflate expenses, kickbacks from contractors, tax evasion, and using the hidden income to buy real estate. This led to an investigation of Anderson Tech. In the end, Daniel was fined and had to pay a total of 70 million yen, including back taxes and penalties, and was sentenced to 2 years in prison due to the severity of his actions. Anderson Tech's tax evasion became a news headline. With their president arrested and trust shattered, Anderson Tech lost clients rapidly and eventually went bankrupt. Daniel's father, the former president, was furious and disowned him. Daniel had repeatedly used money to cover his misdeeds and enjoyed the benefits. But crimes that aren't legally permissible can't continue indefinitely. He finally faced the consequences of his accumulated misdeeds. Despite the commotion, Steve's wedding ended without further incident. There were many twists and turns, but seeing the happy couple was worth it. I look forward to hearing about their lives together. After that, I continued running Miller Holdings. My brother remained dedicated to his delivery job. With my company earning $100 million annually, he didn't need to work. Given how much I relied on him during school, I wish he would retire. But he insists on earning his own living, not wanting to rely entirely on his younger brother. His strong sense of responsibility hasn't changed since the old days. Thanks to you, we dealt with Daniel. I can't believe he evaded so much tax. Yeah, he's been a problem since back then. I wish I had been strong enough to stand up to him. My brother looked apologetic. I don't want him to feel that way. I was glad I could protect my brother. Don't say that. It's because of you that I'm here today, so please, let me repay you. Really, I only did what I had to do. But not everyone would make the decision you did, so please, accept this as a thank you for all you've done for me. All right. Maybe my brother felt his dedication was finally rewarded, because he decided to drop out of high school and work. I am where I am today. So, I want to continue repaying him in any way I can.